Hello, once again, everybody. Mauricio Garcia. Always extremely excited to begin yet another week with powerful topics that are going to help us excel in business. You know, there is great opportunity in America today. There are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars moving. And if you're able to figure out where that money is moving from to where it's moving to, you've got an opportunity to make a lot of money. But more on that later on the show. Today, as always, I'm joined by my friend, my mentor, my partner, Mr. Hubert. Humphrey. Hubert, just checking the audio, my friend. How are you?
Doing great. Glad to be here this week. Be another great week.
Awesome. Thank you for doing it, as always, for leading this podcast. And you know, there are secrets that you share all the time, and there are codes. I've learned the words, the modern day Alexander. A lot of the things you do really are inspired and gravitate around what Alexander the Great was able to accomplish in his lifetime, right? The greatest conqueror considered by many of all time. And there is a certain way of thinking, and you've adopted that in many, many different ways. And so I want us to cover that today, because to win in business, to win out there today, it looked like we've got to, and I took this right from your book. It says you've got to plan like Alexander, you've got to maneuver like Napoleon, you've got to fight like Patton, and then you got to build like Hubert. So let's dive deeper into this, because I think it has a lot to do with the psychology, the mentality that we need to go adopt today to be able to win out there in the real world, especially in the world of business.
Right. Well, Alexander was a great strategist. He was able to not only have goals and a vision of what he wants to accomplish, but he was able to have a plan. But a plan's of no value if you don't have a good strategy for implementation. And he always had a great strategy for doing it, and a way about which he was going to go out and conquer the known world. Mm-hmm. And his strategy was not to go out and just go attack. He was never a surprise attack kind of guy. He never went into these countries and just made surprise attacks. He was a negotiatory kind of guy. He would send a liaison in representing him into these cities or these countries, and let him know that Alexander was at the gates. His reputation would always precede him, which is a good thing to have in business. If you got a reputation that you're a winner and what you do is successful, and it would be wise to partner with you, that's a good reputation to have in business. Well, he had that reputation, and most of the people accepted his offer and knew that it would be better for them, and they made peace before there was ever a conflict. And he would come in and do the things from a diplomatic standpoint, and he assumed control of that territory, that country, and started to make it a Greek part of the Greek territory. Mm-hmm. And it was his he had a strategy, and that was his way. Really, I could summarize the Alexander part of that quote you read a while ago. Is Alexander wanted to conquer the world by conquering the hearts of men. So let's think about that.
Yeah,
conquering the hearts of mm-hmm. men. That was his style. Not that there wasn't fighting and he had an army, but he had a 50,000 man army that was going with him all across this territory to the world ran out at the ocean. He knew he wasn't going to have to fight all these battles. They were very disciplined. They knew how to win, and his 50,000, obviously, they ended up beating Darius's 1,000,000-man army. So they were powerful, but his reputation was able to get the people to be persuaded his way. He had mastered the art of persuasion. Like Lincoln, our great President Lincoln. He had there's a book on him called the Art of Persuasion. Lincoln on leadership. His whole philosophy was about persuasion. Mm-hmm. And that was his strategy.
So you're basically saying, hey, you've got to think strategically. It's not like because what you described, right. Alexander would go in there and negotiate, right? Peace. It's kind of like either convert or we're going to come in and we're going to cut your throat.
Well, probably something like that. He would let them know that, hey, you got till 12 o'clock tomorrow. You can join with us, and you're going to share in our bounty and the rewards, and we'll probably promote you to another level, and on and on and on. And you'll be a part of the great Greek world and have the protections and the rights and the prosperity that will come from that. Or there'll be trouble at high noon.
So bringing that into today's world, how would that translate to a modern day Alexander now going out there as you're recruiting for your cause, you're recruiting for your mission? I kind of see like an Elon Musk as an example, right? I mean, there are competition. Maybe you got Jeff Bezos and you've got Elon Musk as an example, both trying to go to space, both trying to, in their own ways and their own models of the business they're trying to build to do that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, how would Alexander the Great apply that principle in today's world?
Well, he would try to win people over with having their heart in his camp, having them to feel what he was very good at getting people to want what he wanted them to to feel what he wanted them to feel, and persuade them to join with him. That was what he would do today, and the great business leaders today, they're able to do that. They're able to build coalitions, and because if they spend all their time fighting each other, they'll never get anything done. In the business world, is not equipped for warfare like military is, so it has to have some of that going on in it.
So it's how they bring their teams, right? How they bring all their talent, how they recruit all the people that enables the creation of such great companies. I get it.
Yeah, you're persuading people to join you, to work with you, those that are on your board, to follow your mission. But even clients that you're trying to persuade to buy your product, or vendors that you're trying to persuade to join in and be a part of your project, all of that's persuasion and selling them on a big dream. And Alexander started with a big mission. Hey, the Greek way is the right way. We want to go out and conquer the known world. We're going to do it with or without you. A pretty big idea, and pretty hard to. You were risking a whole lot not accepting his offer. It's like in the Godfather movie, where they offer you a deal that you can't afford to turn down.
Sure.
You just can't resist it. But the second part of this thing about maneuver like Napoleon.
Yep. Napoleon
was famous for as the lines of battle were drawn, he would have different ones of his cavalry that were close to him would go and make contact, and he would just watch a little bit to see how the enemy would respond, and then he would wait and see which opening was the most vulnerable, and he would maneuver all of his strength to that point and go right through that decisive point. So he mastered that maneuverability. He was very nimble on his feet, so to speak, as a military leader. And no matter what anybody else was doing, he was like a chess master. He could see the moves. He could see the whole table. He could see several moves ahead, and he would maneuver to those points. That was the strength of Napoleon. He had other strengths, but that was one that he was really known for. Was when he finally sent his troops in, put the whole force in. It was because he had sized up everything and had maneuvered it right to the right point. And that sometimes that was not necessarily clear to him to start with. He had to find that, and I think that's what you got to do in business here. I've got trouble with my earpiece here, but you've got to do that.
And do you think that it's kind of a skill that you can learn, or is it just a simple kind of a talent you're born with to be able to be that kind of maneuver?
No. Hey, listen, none of us are born with anything like that. We're born with the same emotional system, the same deal. I'm not going to say that the Lord hadn't put some gene in some person, whatever that's really not duplicatable. I'm sure that happens. If I ever get to talk to him one day on the other side, I'll ask him that question. But I know right now the bulk of us everything that's needed to be successful in business and warfare and any kind of leadership is an ability that can be learned and developed. So these were just skill sets and abilities that were developed in these guys. And then fight like Patton. The one thing about Patton was tenacious. I mean, he was able to keep his troops going even when they'd been on long marches and many battles and had no sleep. And like the Battle of the Bulge, one of the most famous battles in World War II, and it was very decisive when the Germans were making one last big mounted push to stop the Allied forces as they'd come inside as they were headed toward Berlin, and they stopped in the Ardennes forest up there. They had that Battle of the Bulge. He force marched his troops who had just come off a long battle in the dead of winter, when Field Marshal Montgomery and Omar Bradley and all the other generals said that their troops just couldn't make that journey, and they were having somebody had to go give those troops relief because they were about to be conquered or about to defeated. He said, we can do it. He said, well, your troops are so dead tired. He said, but they'll do it. I got them believing. I've got them trained. And so that's what he was. He had that fighting spirit. In fact, as you've studied the life of General Patton, there's a great book out there about how to become a victorious general. And it gives us, it's divided into three basic parts. The first thing you got to have is a warrior soul. And so that sort of describes Patton's philosophy. He was a great fighter. Warriors fight. They were born to fight. He loved the battle. He loved the competition of it, and he instilled that into his people. And they didn't shy away from battle. The harder the blow, the stronger the steel, so to speak. That's the mentality that I'm saying right there with Patton. We could go on and on about each one of these.
Yeah, no. What I found interesting is that in your book, obviously, you say, hey, and then build like Hubert. This is a book that you're trying to teach everybody in your company, in the organization, to think like these great warriors, conquerors, right, leaders, and then build like Hubert, because nobody's built companies like you've built in the past over the last 4 decades. So I'm assuming that these principles have played a major role in your accomplishments.
Oh, they had. And it was. If I didn't love to read history, if I didn't love to study other people, if I didn't love to copy the great leaders of the past, and not, I don't read for the entertainment of reading and studying. I read for the value that can be received out of it, and learning these things and finding these deep hidden truths about them. And I've basically dissected those things and teach them to our leaders, and some of it actually sticks with some of them. And so we've got a little bit of an advantage with most people, because most leaders out there aren't approaching they're approaching their business more from a business than it's some gigantic great mission in life. This is our moonshot. This is our Alexander conquering the known world. See, one of our mottos, he wanted to conquer the world and make it Greek. We want to conquer the world and make it wealthy. Well, if I'm going to conquer the world, why don't I go copy somebody else that's conquering the known world, and let's apply those principles to business? And that's what I've done here. And the biggest thing about our deal is I take all of these principles from all these great leaders, molded into my building philosophy and everything, and then what I do is I use this leadership format system as our vehicle. It's the vehicle that we're going to win by. Like Patton brought in automation into the military. And when he first started, you had horses. It was the cavalry, soldiers on horseback. That was the cavalry. That was how they went. And horses, it was easy for horses. Horses could eat grass along the way and drink water, and you just keep riding them. Well, tanks had to have fuel, so he brought this new armored warfare into being, and the Germans picked up on it and really developed the whole blitzkrieg mentality off of that automation. And in that very beginning, when they attacked Poland, you look at some of the old footage from those battles. They're coming through there in all these all these German tanks just pouring through the fields, and who's coming at them? The Polish army on horseback. Now, hello, what's wrong with that picture? You know, all these tanks, German tanks flooding through the field, and these guys are coming in on the old-fashioned horses. It didn't take but a couple of hours for Poland to be captured. So that's the way it is in business here. My vehicle is a leadership format system, because I know I'm dealing with human nature, and this is the greatest way of balancing out human nature, causing us to have the greatest chance to be the most successful with the least the least cost of time, waste of time and energy. It's just a great system, and everybody has to have their own version of that if they're going to win. So my philosophy is building is molded around all of this.
You know, what I love about what you said is that, and it's important for everybody that is listening in today, that is studying. I mean, even people that have achieved such great things, they continue to look and continue to learn and continue to read and find mentors and lessons from the past. You know, you continue to read these things and read for the value. And then be able to feed yourself from those kind of great warriors, leaders, conquerors, and then feed it to the people that you're trying to build. So there's a lot of leadership building here by bringing that value and passing it down. So that's really great. We're going to wrap it up for today. Hopefully you got a lot of value from today, because what we're talking about is what are some of the codes that make a modern-day Alexander in today's world, how to go out there and really conquer your future by conquering, business, by being successful.
Hey, Mauricio, to just cap off this whole little segment here, there's one statement that all of these great leaders felt like. Patton kind of verbalized it real good, and I'll just quote him, because and I tell all of our team here that says I'm ready to seize this moment. I clearly see that my company, HGI, and you could interject some other company there. HGI is like Patton's Third Army. Then we quoted Patton. We are precisely the right instrument at precisely the right moment in exactly the right place. That was his motto. That he had convinced his whole team, his whole Third Army, that. And so anytime a moment came up that was not too big for them, they were the first to jump in there, because they knew that was their destiny. They had built their own destiny. And every one of these leaders, Alexander, Napoleon, you name it, they had that feeling. And I hope all the people listening right now will know that they are the right person for the right place at the right time, and they can find the right systems to do it. If they can't find any other place, they need to contact us. We'll show them.
Well, absolutely. Well, we cannot end the show without revealing one of the greatest secrets in American business today. And that great secret is that the one place where you are more likely to even achieve financial freedom, to become a millionaire, is getting involved in the financial industry. And there is no other leader, there is no other company that has perfected the system to harness the power of that industry than Hubert Humphrey and the leadership format system under the HGI, Hegemon Group International flag. They are the number one sponsor to this podcast, not only financing, obviously, but their time and bringing all of their knowledge, 40 plus years of success, putting it out there, giving it away in the podcast. But if you want to get even closer to the fire and really work hand in hand with the one and only architect of the greatest system ever created in the financial services industry that built two multi-billion dollar companies, I should say, then look nowhere else. And to learn more, go to hgiopportunity.com. That is hgiopportunity.com. We even made the link very simple for you to remember. hgiopportunity.com. There's a whole presentation there for you can learn more about it. You can thank me later. Hubert, let's have a record week. Thank you as always for all you do, for all the value you add. Hope you have a great beginning of the week. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. See you later.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.